Hi, I'm Peggy Snow, and tonight we are having our third Bulldog Senior Cafe. This is our final Senior Cafe for the class of 2023, and we're super excited tonight to have Miss Piercy, who is from our English department here at John Hardin High School, and she brought her friend and fellow teacher from Fairdale High School, Stephanie Goley, and they're going to be speaking on handling stress in adult life. So I'm pretty excited. We have a great group of students here tonight. It's going to just be a great evening. So so glad that you're able to join us for this final Senior Cafe, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again in the future.
The stress of adult life. I don't know that I'm the most qualified person to talk about that because I'm always stressed. If you've had me in class, you know I'm a little frazzled.
So you're
but I have a lot of exposure to stress, so maybe I can help you figure out the right thing to do and not do what I did. So let's see. You all are going to go to college. So I'll tell you about some things that can be stressful in college and some things to do to avoid that stress. First of all, go to class. I didn't do that sometimes, and it made my life very difficult. So just go, and then you'll avoid the stress of that, wondering if they take attendance and if you're going to get in trouble and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Did they notice I was gone? Did they do an assignment in class that's going to be graded that I missed?
Yes.
Did they tell me some important information that's going to hurt me later if I don't know it? Yep.
Also, don't save 10-page papers to write the night before. That's stressful. And will make you be stressed, and you will not like it. It'll feel good the next day, but when you're writing that 10-page paper, you're going to be real sad. So don't do it.
So have a good plan.
Yeah, having a plan it does help you avoid a lot of stress.
Planning your time.
Yes.
Time management.
Making a schedule. I'm not very good at time management still to this day, but if I was, I would have a lot less stress in my life. So maybe work on that and get a planner and actually use it. Don't just use it for one day and then lose it in your car like I do. I also wanted to just ask you guys what kind of things you wanted to know about.
Financing college sure is fun.
Financing college?
Yeah. I think most of us at this table are all going to more expensive colleges, so dealing with like scholarships and FAFSA and like figure out where everything is
Out
coming
of
from.
state.
Yeah, that can be expensive. I've been in college since 2013, so 10 years now. Woo, let's go. And I haven't paid for anything yet, so that's because I have student loans, and I just choose to not think about them, but know that it'll all work out in the end. And like, depending on your career, that's just a choice you have to decide if you want to make, like depending on what you're going to go into, how much money you want to spend, how much money you think you're going to make, how much, and they have payment plans and stuff, so it's a little bit more manageable than you would think. I know that's a really daunting thing to think about. They're like, how am I going to pay for this? But there are options out there, and there are a lot of scholarships, and very few people apply for scholarships. They're like a lot easier to get than you would think. So just apply for literally everything, even if you don't think you can get it.
I was going to say, you can Google, like scholarships for, let's say you're going into, I don't know, biology is your major. Scholarships for biology students, scholarships for whatever nationality you are, scholarships for, students from this income range. Like just Google student scholarships for fill in the blank. And there are tons and tons of options, way more options than you realize. I think the best first step is make a list. Like step number one, you have to fill out the FAFSA, right? And do it the day that it opens, because the sooner that you do it, the more likely you are to get grant money, which is free. You don't ever have to pay it back, okay? So that's step number one. Step number two would be scholarships. Figure out, set a goal. I have a 17-year-old daughter. I just told her, start applying for 2 scholarships a week, right? Like if you just apply for 2 scholarships a week, even if you don't get every one, by the time you're in college, you're going to have a lot racked up. Even if they're $100 here, $500 there, that that $600 will help you buy books for 2 semesters, So there are a lot of options. And if you do have to end up taking student loans, read the fine print, be very careful about what you're doing. And my recommendation is to have your organized list of steps to take and just think about the one step that you're on. Don't think about everything as a big picture. Because that's when things tend to get really stressful. And you're like, I have all these things. Just one slow step at a time,
Yes.
and you'll get it figured out.
And sometimes there are grants for like specific programs you're going into. So look up whatever you're going to go into grant. Like for education, there's something called a Teach grant. I think that's for a master's program, but regardless, like that's a potential to get education in exchange for like working a job, or free education in exchange for working a job. And some careers offer tuition reimbursement and stuff like that. So just looking into like all your options is good.
Also, certain companies offer tuition reimbursement if you work for them. UPS does it. I think Chick-fil-A has a tuition reimbursement program. There are a lot more than those two. But looking into, another thing you can, Google's your best friend. Another thing you can Google, companies that offer tuition reimbursement or college study programs.
That's what I was going to say. Work study programs, they exist.
Yeah. You can work on campus and it'll help pay for dorms and food and tuition and that kind of thing.
And that can take a lot of stress out of that. But just like she said, taking it one step at a time and don't worry about too much stuff at once can really help you.
Yeah.
Anybody got any other questions?
So with going to school, it sounds like you all worked when you were in college. How did
Yes.
you handle all of that? You have all these due dates, you have college life in a new place, and then you're working, you have papers due.
Yeah.
How did you all handle that? Or what did you find helpful?
I was really lucky, and I got a job being a receptionist for people who did not care what I was doing as long as I answered the phone. So I answered the phone, and when I wasn't answering the phone, I did my homework. And I was able to work full time, but still go to college and get to my classes. And like, they were really flexible. So just trying to find a place that's flexible and understanding that you're a student, but also like maybe you find a job that has some downtime where you're able to do that in your free downtime is a good idea. That's what I did, and it worked out really well for me. And I enjoyed my job because I worked with my dad and that was cool. But I don't know exactly what it's like to live away from home because I lived at home. Well, I do now, but when I was in college, I lived at home the entire time. But it is still kind of stressful to like navigate a whole new social circle and like figuring out how to make friends and stuff, especially if you're quiet. I'm not quiet now. I could become friends with like a brick wall at this point in my life. But when I was in college, I was very shy and nervous. And it wasn't until I like joined some campus organizations and made friends that way that I like came out of my shell, and now I'll talk to any human being that will listen to me. Even if they don't listen to me, I'll probably still talk. So I think getting involved in campus is a really good way to make friends, and like when you have friends, you have a community of people around you to help you deal with the stress together, and that's really important.
You can do study groups. You can say, and we've done this in working on our masters. We're in two completely separate different programs or different classes. And we're like, okay, well, we can't get this done unless we're sitting next to each other. So, we'll go hang out and just do our homework at the same time. We sort of have some accountability there.
Yes.
To be able to get it done. I did not work a job that had a lot of downtime. And so I had to like really schedule when I needed to work on things. I had to really look at, okay, well, these hours I have to be in class, and this is my break in between here, this class and work. And so I can eat, and maybe I can do this assignment because it'll only take me, 30 minutes while I'm eating. And then I have to, be at work for these many hours. And then, you have to really like structure your time in a way that you're getting the most bang for your buck. So that's where I actually found a calendar, a planner that each page is one day, and it has every hour from 8 to 8 on the page, and it helped me. Like I literally just planned out every hour of my day. So and sometimes that in itself can be a little bit stressful because then you're like, oh my gosh, I have 12 hours of my day completely planned out. But one thing at a time. Just take it one thing at a time.
Yes.
Yeah. Focus on the task that you're working on at that moment and try really hard as hard as it is, to block the rest of the stuff out, because you'll get to that stuff later when it's time.
Something that I want to touch on too is like self-care is really important. You are going to be so busy, and I did not take enough time for self-care when I was in college other than taking naps. That was all I did for self-care, which is like, that's okay. That's a good thing to do. But like, just do fun things sometimes. Like at the end of the day, you want to like be happy, right? And like enjoy your time at college. So if you're finding that it's like way too stressful to handle, it's okay to like not take 18 hours and just take the minimum 12. It's okay to like step back from some activities if you're finding you don't have enough time to take care of you. Make sure you plan things like, just go on a walk every now and again, or read a book, or whatever you like to do for
Wash
fun.
your face. That's a big one. Just washing your face.
Miss Pearson, you're in a doctorate program, you're a teacher, you're driving from Louisville to E-Town every day, you're with students every day. I mean, a lot of teachers are running out of the building, and here you are. And so she's obviously balancing, that career and personal growth as well. So how do you do it?
I kind of just have a really good support system. I think that's really important. And I just prioritize what's most important to me and make sure I take care of those things. And like that can change from day to day. Like some days I really need like to just rest, and so I prioritize resting that day. But like I really love being a teacher and value being a teacher, so when I'm here I try to prioritize like spending time with the students and helping them grow and stuff, and doing things like this because that fills me up and helps recharge me, because it's something I'm really passionate about, because I care about you guys and want you to succeed. I know I've only like met some of you a few times, and I've had Dean in class before, but I really enjoy getting to know you guys and like help you guys find your way in the world. So it's actually something that like fuels me instead of drains me. And I think that's really important part of stress too, is to find a career option that fuels you instead of drains you. So if you're in a program at college and it doesn't bring you any joy, it's okay to just stop and choose something different.
It's okay to change your mind.
I changed my mind 3 times.
Yeah. You're allowed to change your mind. Well, my degree is in art. It's not even in education. I have an art degree, and it wasn't until COVID that I needed a career change, and she said, "You should be a teacher."
I've converted a lot of people into teachers since
And I
my
love it, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad that I made this change. But like that switch, that whole thought process of like, but I told everyone I was going to do this thing, and now I've changed my mind to do this thing instead, caused me a lot of stress, and I was very self-conscious about it. It's okay to change your mind. If that's what you need to do, in your personal life, if that's what you need to do, career-wise, because you're not feeling fulfilled in a position, it's okay to make a different choice. So, definitely finding people that are uplifting to you and not, discouraging. People that celebrate your victories with you are going to help you deal with stress. Prioritizing, figuring out the small things that you can do, even just small habits day to day that can make you feel lighter, is a big, big thing for managing stress in adult life. When I told my parents I wanted to go to art school, I very vividly remember a long conversation with my dad in the car about how I was never going to make any money, and the long laundry list of other ideas that he had for me that would have been way better. You could be an orthodontist, you could be a lawyer, you'd be so good at that, you could be a news anchor, that would be great for you. Like all of these things, no, it's not what I want. And so I stood my ground, and I went to art school, and the entire time I was in school, my parents would say, well, what if you got an education minor? Or what if you got a psychology minor? Because then you could do something with those things, right? Then they started negotiating my future with me, right? And I stood my ground, and I took a lot of psychology classes. I enjoy it. But, I got an art degree. And then I stayed home with kids, and I didn't do anything with it for a while. And I felt that pressure of my parents being like, see, they didn't say it to my face, but see, you didn't do anything with this degree we told you not to get. And so that was stressful for a while about how to, not worry so much about my parents' expectations of me, and just I'm figuring out life and what makes me happy, and I'm doing, my own thing because I'm my own person.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a lot of stress that goes with that, and that's one thing that you sort of have to stand firm in. It's okay if I change my mind, but right now, this is the path that I'm on, and this is what I'm figuring out.
Mm-hmm. And something to remember is that everybody's going to have expectations for you, but none of those people have to live with your career except for you.
Yep.
You have to find something that makes you want to get up and go to work every day. Because your options are, like, have a mediocre job, have a job you hate, or have a job you're passionate about. And I'm really lucky to have a job that I'm passionate about, and I like to get up and drive 45 minutes every day to come here because I enjoy it so much. It's worth it to me. So you need to, when you're thinking about college, if that program or whatever you're in is not something like, I would wake up and love to go do this for the rest of my life, maybe look into other options. I'm not saying that you're always going to love your job and it's always going to be the best thing in the entire world, but it should fill you up instead of drag you down.
Well, one thing that I had to figure out is, my dad is a money-motivated person. Everything that he does, what drives him, is how much money is he going to make. I'm a passion-motivated person. I do not care about the money I'm going to make, because what good is it going to do me if I'm the most miserable person, right? If I'm so stressed out and I'm so exhausted that I can't even, enjoy myself, then what good is that? So knowing that I'm a passion-motivated person helped me figure out, okay, well, that's really where our difference is. And, what is it that I'm passionate about that I will enjoy getting? My dad could be so miserable in whatever he's doing, but if it's going to make him money, he's going to get up and do it. And I'm not like that. And so knowing that about yourself and finding a major or a career where you excited to go to class, or excited to learn, or excited to read the book or do the homework, that's really it's going to lower your stress a lot, because you're not going to be miserable with what you're doing.
Yeah. I had to do that because if I wasn't interested in my work, I just wouldn't do it. That's not a recommendation. Don't do that. But I had to kind of make myself do things that I was interested in, because if I didn't, I just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I took math, dual credit in high school, so math is fine. Everybody who likes math, I'm so happy that you like math. It is not for me. I don't understand math. I didn't have to take it in college, so I was able to get through my general education requirements and survive.
I really struggled with science. I really struggled a lot with science. And that's one thing you'll notice is your grade will sort of start to slip, and you'll put those assignments on the back burner, and then they'll become a huge stressor for you, because you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much of this stuff, and it's going to mess with my GPA, which could mess with the scholarship or whatever. So just keeping track of those things, noticing those patterns, that's another thing that could help prevent some serious stress.
Yes, and don't pretend your schoolwork doesn't exist, because it does. I have a friend in college who was that's future me problem. No, it's not. I will say that once you get out of college, that's kind of a really tricky place to navigate to, but you're just starting college, so you might not think about that yet. But finding your first career job and stuff like that can be real stressful, so just let yourself have some grace with that.
What are some things you all do to handle stress now? Because all four of you have huge schedules. You all do things, and you seem to manage it very well.
I use drawing a lot. Anytime that I am anxious or stressed, or honestly, if anything's bugging me, I want to draw.
So let me ask you this. How do you handle it when drawing is no longer your pastime, but it is now your job? You're going to school for drawing. It is now your assignment. It is now the thing that is due.
At the moment, I love art enough that even when it is an assignment, it's not really stress. It's still helping me work out that stress.
Okay, good.
In the future, obviously, that might change with it becoming my career, because I want to go into art therapy. But even then, I'll make sure to still use art as, like, I won't let art become something I'm bored of or let it become just a job. I'll find a way to, like, work it out so I can still enjoy it while it being my job.
Keep a personal sketchbook where you can do things that have nothing to do with your assignment or your job. Because this assignments will get daunting, and it's like, why is my professor giving me this assignment? This isn't what I enjoy. So always have a way to make your own art that is not for a grade or for money.
I get up at the crack of dawn to do all my homework. Oh. So the time, because I spend so much time here, my at-home time is my family time, my friends' time, my free time, and I start the day over again at about 4 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Does it work for you?
Mm-hmm.
If you think that schedule works for you and you're succeeding, go for it. You don't have to live by normal society timelines, right? Like, your day can start and end whenever you choose.
It starts at 4 a.m. and ends about at 9:30ish.
Yeah.
My schedule is the opposite. Get up at 7:30, rush to New Highlands, spend the first 3 blocks of my day with my New Highland kids, which fuels the rest of my day because
Yeah.
I love them. My class is really chaotic, but they're amazing.
There's so much intramural things in college where if you weren't on a team or you weren't like an athlete, but you do like to do stuff that you can get involved with, and it can be a lot of fun and a big stress relief.
I went to U of L, and if you like want to stay active, they have like a class that's just for 1 credit hour, but you can use it as an elective for walking. They have it for hiking, swimming.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they actually have basket weaving as a class. They have like a lot of random
We
stuff.
used to joke that they had underwater basket weaving. I don't think they actually do.
They have actual basket weaving
They have
though.
actual basket weaving.
It's just not
And they have
underwater.
swimming.
You could combine those skills. If you ever have any like U of L or Louisville questions, if I know you're going to Louisville, if anybody else ends up at U of L, let me know. I went there. I live in Louisville. It's
Where are you
fun.
getting your PhD from?
University of the Cumberlands. It's all online. I like the internet. It does nice things. So I can do all that from my house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is helpful.
So was that different to do it all online versus going in person to class?
Yes, I had to be way more responsible than I was in person.
Oh, okay.
And there was more flexibility with deadlines, which was not good for me, but I had to like figure out how to deal with that. I'm still not the best at it, but I'm working on it. When you have more freedom, sometimes you have to like really discipline yourself to like, I have a 15-page paper due this Friday. I should have started this 2 weeks ago. No, I don't now. I'm saying like thinking like on a Monday, if you see on Monday, I've got a 15-page paper due, I should not do it all on Friday night. I should do it, a little bit per day.
Yeah.
Which is a lesson I learned the hard way multiple times. It took a lot. I knew if I didn't go to school and do all the schooling I wanted to do, if I took a break, I'd never return. So I'm just doing it all, and I'll be done, and I will never return, I say.
You say.
I say. I don't know what else I can do after a doctorate. But just make sure you, think about your own personal life, and if you are willing to, make the sacrifice of a little bit of your free time in order to do that. But I will say, the program I was in, they understood. My master's program understood, you're an adult, you have a career, and they're more flexible than undergraduate programs.
Yes.
It depends on where you go, but the program I was in was.
Yeah. I became a new teacher, and because my bachelor's degree was not in education, I had to do what's called an Option 6 program. So I had to be working, or if I wanted to teach, I had to be in this Option 6 program and be taking these classes. And so, you take 2 classes, and it's like an 8-week term in the program that I'm in, and then another 8-week term, 2 classes. 2 classes is the maximum. And a couple of the classes have been difficult to balance, but being a brand new teacher and creating all of the things, I've had to create my syllabus and lesson plans and, slide documents and figure out Google Classroom and learning all of the things that go with being a brand new teacher and taking some classes was slightly difficult. But I had never been in a classroom before at all. And I came in 2020, so in the middle of a pandemic. No, I would not recommend. That is not how you relieve stress.
This book for my free time reading, so.
Oh, well, so you would probably be okay coming in.
Yeah.
You've been in a classroom, you know what it's like. You're going to major in education. So going into a classroom with knowledge and then continuing on would probably be okay for you. Yeah. So.
When I didn't have my degree in teaching either. I had to get my master's in teaching because I got a degree in English. And what I did for my first year of my master's is I took a lot of courses. I took more than the recommended amount, but I subbed. So I was able to like balance it better because in like certain counties when you sub, you have to do less work than this one. So I just did my work while I subbed when the kids were doing independent work. That is like probably not a possibility here, but some places it is. And with subbing, you can take like, you don't have to work every day if you don't want to. You can work one day and be like, I really got to get my homework done. I'm just not going to work today. And you can do it.
Yeah.
So that's how I got my master's. But then my second year in my master's, I got a teaching job and had to figure out how to balance it. But I would say it was easier having that first year of experience. But since you'll have a bachelor's degree, like she said, you'll have more experience.
I mean, the subbing is a great idea because you get your foot in the door and you're like sort of part-time figuring it out with all the massive expectations.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of jobs at the universities, a lot of jobs in your departments. You know, there's research jobs. Just being on campus, you will begin to know people. You'll find job postings, not only work study, but just things you can do in your department. When I was in undergraduate school, I ended up working at back then they didn't have, everything wasn't so high tech. And so like TVs had to be delivered to the classrooms. Back then they had VHS tapes, so like a VHS player had to be delivered. And I worked in the department that organized that and delivered it. And I just entered the data for that in the computer system. But in graduate school, I worked on campus as a graduate teaching assistant in my department. And so a lot of times once you're really involved in a program, you might have opportunities where your professor needs help or the department needs help, and it goes along with your career. So those things are kind of nice because if you work on campus, you can literally plan your hours in between your classes. So you go to class from this time to this time, you slip over and do your work at your office here. You know, you can move in and out of your schedule, and then it builds on your career.